My identity is American, and it is that of an ally, a progressive, and someone who wants real equity for all people. I'm an American, but I don't really take that too seriously. My identity is of a suburban person because I grew up in the suburbs of San Diego. This wasn't as homogenized as it seems. My parents were rebels. They were activists for civil rights and resistance to institutional authority, as well as the kind of people I still look up to. I learned at an early age that we must resist institutions that seek to oppress us. As a child, my mother resisted a neighboring strawberry farm that was going to spray pesticides. They were one day we'd be banned by the EPA. She went to the city council and with a petition, and they stopped the farm from spraying after she gave a speech, and this helped shape my idea for what we should fight for, and whether or not corporations have our best interests at heart, or we're so blinded by greed that they would just harm people to raise the share on their stock. Um, this course helped me delve further into my ancestry. My grandfather was a longtime member of the Musicians Association and a president of it at one time, and during the boycotts of the UFW, um, they always, stood with the boycott, and especially the Safeway, the one he talked about that for quite a while, how they didn't buy from Safeway for quite a while. And I'm grateful to activists like Cesar Chavez for helping farm workers, and Dolores Huerta also, to fight big farm, and so that they can gain a better workplace protections that the other industries enjoy. Um, as I grew up, I internalized these lessons from my parents and family. Having union members in my family helped me understand the need to resist and fight those that discriminate against marginalized people, whether it's a boss, a corporation, or the government. In taking this course, I learned a great deal about the need for multi-ethnic resistance. The Black Power movement was a response to intense police brutality, um, little room for advancement in society, and pervasive racism. The police and societal response to this movement was to attack, to fear it, and to demonize it at every turn, to harass and to persecute the party members as well. From Angela Davis, I learned that the Black Power movement was meant to defend Black people from intense police violence and also to empower them and to help the Black community. They also helped provide food and education to anyone in their community. They were attacked by the government for this. They were attacked for providing food and education to people that needed it, and they were attacked for providing this and for empowering people, really. The FBI even conducted a national campaign against the Black Power movement, and they conspired to destroy the Black Panther Party itself. Um, Although the movement eventually ended, the spirit of the movement lives on in groups like Black Lives Matter. When Michael Brown was murdered by police in Ferguson, Missouri, the people had had enough, and marches formed into an uprising. And the Black Matter movement that had started the previous year after Trayvon Martin incident, um, this movement was kind of renewed, and thousands of new activists joined it. Um, and they took to the streets, so they could be heard. The hashtag was also pretty popular. Um, and these protests were big enough that even Barack Obama, then president, invited some of the leadership to the White House. I think Biden was in attendance at the time as vice president. On the Latinx and Chicano movement, this course taught me that these groups were successful in fighting for their rights on the picket line with marches, protests, and national boycotts, with activists like Dolores Huerta leading them, especially in the 1965 national grape strike in Delano here in California, where they fought for workers' rights. They fought for things like having water on the line so you could pick fruit, just water. Um, Medical care, decent housing, and retirement benefits for aging workers. And they won most of these rights, especially water and benefits. The Red Power movement fight. It was a fight for Native American rights, is to reclaim land for better treatment of Native peoples by law enforcement and the government. It's also a resistant movement that calls for the U.S. to honor its treaties that it created throughout our history, which we, for the most part, have not honored. This movement had a violent period, like the incident at Wounded Knee in South Dakota when 200 Oglala Lakota and members of the American Indian movement took over the town for 71 days. It was a long siege, and two AIM members were killed, and two law enforcement were injured. I believe U.S. Marshals were injured, and all the AIM members were arrested after a surrender. And the incident did get national media to an issue that people had ignored for a long time, which is the plight of Native people. Movement uses peaceful means these days and harnesses the power of resistance movements, like with the Dakota Access Pipeline, um, the Keystone XL pipeline, and the issues of Native images and costumes being used as mascots for sports teams. I will, I will resist institutions and corporations that seek to discriminate against marginalized people and other groups. This course has taught me that listening to the message a movement is expressing and trying to emphasize with it is better than quickly coming to a conclusion about that movement. Resistance is something that anyone can be a part of if you just stand up to it. We can all resist institutions that seek to gain something at the expense of a group that lacks power, like in the current housing situation at Cal Poly Humboldt. This problem could have been solved without the need for resistance, but those at the top didn't consider the feelings and the safety of the students. This is the kind of resistance that I'm interested in being a part of. This is the kind of resistance that matters. Thank you so much.